barbers and hairstylists of Reddit. What is your oh crap this is bad moment? Currently in barber school. On my first week on the floor I had a young Indian boy, India, and as many stylists and barbers know their hair can be tricky, especially the hairline. I had to basically create a brand new one. I gave him the basic kind of slanted L7 and his mom didn't like it. She asked me to round it instead. Being new to barbering I was a little apprehensive. I went to grab an instructor for help. All were busy, but hey, there's the owner of the school, a man in his mid-40s whose parents founded the school in the 50s. I know he's a licensed barber and cosmetologist, so I go ask for help. He comes over and proceeds to push my client's hairline so that the corner goes basically behind his ear on one side. He looks at it, knows he messed it up, and proceeds to hand me the trimmers and walk away, leaving me with nothing to say to the 12-year-old kind and his mother. Oh crap. Haha, I love he was just like, ops, bye. When I was assisting, I used a code phrase with my boss to have her come check something without freaking the client out. It was, "Do you think we should tone this?" It's a really common saying in the salon so the clients don't think anything of it, but her and I both knew that if I was asking, it basically was my way of saying, oh crap. One day, I take a client to the bowl to shampoo her and start pulling out her foils. Oh crap, her hair was coming out with the foils. Like every piece that was in a foil was disconnecting from her head. I was panicking, so I said it. Do you think this needs a tone? And of course, this would be the one time where it didn't click with her and she casually says, no, it's good. I'm literally sweating. I don't know crap about hair, but I know it's supposed to stay attached to the head. So I say it again, but more direct. Hey, boss, are you sure? Do you want to check this? I think it needs a tone. And again she brushed it off. Finally, I was like, I really think she needs a tone. Then the boss took over. It's been a few years since I assisted, but my old boss still gives that chick free extensions. Wife was a pro stylist and very good at her job, using the clippers on poor dude when the guard breaks and buzz down to the scalp. Guy ended up just having her buzz the whole thing and was a champ about it. But that sound of the clippers suddenly running into way more hair than they were expecting. Definitely an oh crap moment. I'm sorry to laugh, but I can just imagine the guy in the chair's eyes widening with his face conveying disappointment. My hairdresser told me she always triple checks that she's holding thinning shears when thinning hair after witnessing a fellow stylist chop off 6 inches of a girl's hair because she thought she was using thinning shears but was in fact using a regular scissor. This is my biggest fear as a stylist. I have caught myself with the wrong pair right before I make a cut. I've had a long time client catch me before I did it to hers. After doing this for 8 years I've always managed to be careful. You can fix a bad color. You can't fix chopping off a huge chunk of someone's hair. Getting my hair cut back when I used to have a fringe, or hair for that matter, when the hairdresser screamed at the top of her lungs and bolted from the room. I looked in the mirror to see a massive smear of blood across my forehead and had a real oh crap moment before I realized it wasn't oozing, just kinda smeared there. Turns out the hairdresser had sliced her finger open, panicked and bolted for the first aid kit. Spent the next few minutes looking like a rejected extra from a Mad Max flick till one of the other employees came out with a face washer. Thankfully the hairdresser's cut wasn't too bad and just needed some bandaging up. All hairstylists do this at least once. Usually not enough to bleed or get stitches. That's for special freak up occasions. My friend and stylist just cut herself so bad that she needed 7 stitches. Her shears had just come back from being sharpened. Guess they were really sharp. Mostly harmless, but in high school kids from my class would get haircuts from me. One guy named Tyler wanted his name etched into the side of his head. The issue was I've only ever known of the name being spelled Tyler. He was not pleased with the misspelling. I think he can blame his parents for that one. Asked my stylist to straighten my hair and give me those straight across bangs, nothing else. She cut my bangs too short, cut most of my hair so that it went from shoulder length to barely below my freaking ears, and curled it like Betty Boops. I freaking cried. Dad came to pick me up and I've never seen him so shocked. He kept asking if that's how I wanted it. I told him of course not and he said I didn't have to ever go back. Stepmom calls the stylist to ask why the frick she cut off most of my hair. She said most of it was dead and needed to be trimmed. Haven't gone back since. All the hair you can see is dead. At a mall salon and in charge while the boss was on lunch, a guy came in who was tall and exotic. The other stylist thought he was cute and he asked for a blonde mohawk. Off they go. He pays and leaves happy. Everything is awesome. Half an hour later his mother rolls in like a shrieking panther. There is obviously a cultural difference because she screeches that I have defiled him like myself. I'm moderately tattooed and at the time had a few facial piercings and wasn't the stylist who touched her son's head and that he's 15 and school pictures are next week. No amount of offers of rinses and buzz cuts was going to calm this woman down. She started knocking the product everywhere and basically howling. I hit the speed dial for mall cops and left the receiver up on the counter while she had her back turned. The ruckus was loud enough. They got there shortly. Everything was not awesome. Not a hairstylist but do have a story that isn't nearly as bad as most of these. I had hair almost to my waist when I was about 10. I wanted it cut short with the specific intent of donating it to Locks of Love. This was very important to me, and half the reason why I wanted it cut short. We made this clear to her from the beginning too. Well, the lady was terrified of my idea. Being a 10-year-old girl, apparently it was not cool with her that I wanted really short hair. She wasn't bigoted about it. She just wasn't convinced that my mom and I were absolutely positive this is what I wanted. It took hours. We were there much past closing. The worst part? It took hours because she kept cutting half an inch at a time asking if I was sure. I didn't get to donate a single thing to Locks of Love. It's terrible that she ruined your donation. When I went from shoulder length hair to a pixie nearly 20 years ago, 2 stylists and a manager looked like tense action movie characters the entire time. They'd apparently witnessed some serious remorse after radical changes and I guess that's what this woman was fearing. Not a barber. Once when I was at a salon I witnessed a stylist rip a girl's eyebrow off. She was waxing and apparently messed up and accidentally waxed a girl's whole eyebrow off. And to top it off she hurriedly drew one on the girl's face as if the girl wouldn't notice. Hairstylist of 11 years. I have a regular client who has a fine part shaved into the side of his head. The top is about 5 in long. Sides are a 0 to 1 taper. Client had a rough night of drinking and came in for his app the next morning. While I was shaving his part linen, he gagged and I took a 2-inch square patch out of the top of his head. When you can tell there was miscommunication. When somebody says they want an inch and mean an inch off their hair and not an inch left. When someone says they want it over the ear but they mean they want the hair to cover their ear and not clean around. When they say a 3 all over but really mean just the sides and back. Saying they want me to fade it higher and don't realize when I blend it will be shorter there but they demand I take it higher anyways. People look at me like I'm crazy now because I clarify maybe 4 different ways exactly what they mean by something because of misunderstandings where people lose their crap. Men's hairstylist here. I've got many stories in the 12 years I've been cutting hair. Alls I can say is I'm not perfect. I'm bound to freak up once in a while. The biggest oh crap moment would be something I did to myself. We do hot shaves at our salon and we use disposable blades. Our straight blade handles had a small plastic insert to put the blades into. Well, after I shaved my client and he left, I was trying to push the plastic part out. It wouldn't budge. I wrapped a towel around the blade and started pushing the bottom part again with my thumb. It suddenly slipped and I dropped everything. I stood there for a moment thinking, oh frick, there's no way. I picked up the towel with one hand and it was sliced clean through. Oh crap. I slowly look at my thumb. It has one long clean slice from the tip to the bend. Great. I kinda stand there and a coworker asks if I'm alright. I show her my thumb and she freaks out saying I have to go to the hospital. I've never had stitches up to that point, and I'm terrified of needles, so I start saying I just need a band-aid, I'm fine. To end a long story, I got driven to the hospital and got stitched up. Apparently fatty tissue was coming out of the cut. It kinda looked like caviar, so I needed more than a mere band-aid. Oh, I've also cut the first few layers of skin off the top of a couple guys' ears over the years too. That freaking suck. It kinda looked like caviar. That made my stomach lurch. So, a few years ago, a friend of mine did a color correction for this woman. She had gone to a salon to get the bottom layer of her hair red. Well, it didn't turn out well. I think it was like kinda red and splotchy, so she lightened it to apply a vibrant red. When she went to rinse the color, the hair was destroyed. During consultation, we fill out a consultation form that asks about previous services, medications, perms, etc., and make them sign about what could happen if they don't disclose information, etc. I was a senior director master stylist and required to handle matters. When I went over, the hair was completely breaking off about 2 inches from the scalp. I explained the situation expecting her to lose it and she just started laughing. She went with it and shaved it off. Came back a week later and shaved the side, too. I'm still convinced she had permed it because of the curl pattern. It was straight when she came in. Sounds like a perm. Probably why she wasn't mad. She knew she lied, lol. I was the victim of an oh crap moment at the barber. He was using a straight razor to get those little hairs on the back of my neck and wound up cutting me pretty good. Like not ambulance bad, but it needed more than styptic powder. He just kind of froze for a minute and all I could think was, yup, he cut me. It wasn't a big deal but I could tell he felt like a dong. Was victim. Had a friend who did my hair regularly come to my house for an apt. As I went to shower I told her to help herself to my kitchen. Well, I did not know she helped herself to my liquor cabinet until she was cutting my hair. She cut the back of my head within an inch of my scalp. On the outside most visible part. She cursed, immediately started apologizing saying she could fix it. How do you fix cutting hair 4 inches too short? I cried and she left. Took forever for it to grow out to blend. My mom has been a stylist for almost 40 years. She gave me a few good ones to share about her cosmetology school blunders. When she was new in school she had a male client with longer shaggy hair. This was the 1970s. He asked for a trim and she accidentally cut right through his super expensive gold necklace that she didn't see under his hair. She swears he tied up. Another time in cosmetology school she was curling a lady's hair and left a section of hair in the curling iron too long. It burned right off but it was in the back and you couldn't exactly see it. This client was also essentially blind without her glasses and had them off. She kept asking is something burning but my mom totally denied it and said nothing about the burnt chunk. Last one. When I was a kid my mom would experiment with new products on my hair before promoting them with her clients. This was normally a sweet deal for the both of us because I would get a Barbie out the deal and she'd get to practice with new products and hair services. This particular time she was trying out a new perm on me. I must have been about 8. I remember my scalp started burning. Like hot dang this perm is spicy burning. I kept yelling mommy mommy my hair hurts so bad. Unfortunately, I was a pretty dramatic kid, so she totally blew me off. Gave me the oh my gosh, you are fine moms always do. When she washed my hair out, the top layer of my scalp literally was coming off in strips. It hurt freaking bad but the vindication was so sweet. When she washed my hair out, the top layer of my scalp literally was coming off in strips. Screaming intensifies. Literally what the frick? This is horrifying. When I was young I cut my own hair once, thinking that if my grandmother could do it, my 6-year-old self freaking could too. My oh crap moment came after my mom saw it and died laughing, and then took a picture of it. Nope, didn't inherit the hair cutting gene. One time I used no guard on the sides of a guy's head instead of a 1 and I just kind of stood there for a minute and was like, what do you think about a 0 instead? At first he was visibly annoyed, but I apologized and told him I'd comp it and while it wasn't what he wanted at first, he ended up really liking it and giving me $10 afterwards. Yay for not getting yelled at. I'm not a hairstylist, nor a barber. I grew out a manly beard though and bought an amazingly nice pair of scissors for trimming it up. As a matter of fact, I somehow ordered them twice on Amazon, so I've got to spare when these start to fail in 20 years. Since I became so adept at trimming my beard, I even started to cut my own hair. I actually do a better job than most places I've gone to because I know exactly how I want it without having to try and explain. Well, being short on money my fiancée decides she wants me to give her hair a go. She's got very long, baby fine hair. Women's hair is a totally different ball game. Not to mention so is baby fine hair. I'm a champ though. Challenge accepted. So I watch a few YouTube vids. I figure I'm a freaking pro now. Let's do this. So I get her all set up and I start running her hair through my pinched fingers and I'm thinking, holy frick, how do they do this in the videos? Hair's just going every which way, slipping from my grasp, unevenly falling limply between my big stupid man hands. You know what though? I'm still a champ and my baby gets what my baby wants. I soldier through, and I make the first cut. I think to myself, Jesus frick, what have I gotten myself into? I continue cutting, because I'm a champ. An hour later, after meticulously following a particular YouTube video, which I had to run into the bedroom every 5 minutes to watch again and again, I get further and further into the process. It was painstaking, nerve-wracking work. Every cut I'm thinking, oh crap. Every time I pull hair together as a guide I'm thinking, oh crap. Every time hair slips from my fingers I'm thinking, oh crap. I'm a confident guy though, and when I'm not feeling particularly confident, I keep my poker face on and let everyone know that I'm cool as a freaking cucumber. You bet I'm gonna be cool and collected in the eyes of this woman who trusts me so much. Still, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Finally, I'm done. I take a look at all the lengths. I brush it all straight. I blow dry it a bit, like I've seen the stylists do for her. I tilt her chin side to side. I pull the front tip straight out and check how her bangs are looking. Her bangs were frickin' bangin'. I give her the mirror and let her look at it from front to back and she immediately smiles and says, oh my god, babe, it's so perfect. I think it's even better than when Harper does it at the salon. That's when I had my final, oh crap moment. Oh crap, I have to do this every frickin' time she wants a haircut now. What the frick have I done? My favorite post on here. Not me, but my mom. Decades ago, my mom decided to become a hairstylist, something she had wanted to do for a while. Went through school, did great, and then started working at a salon. One day, she had a black lady come in for a haircut and some other stuff. For those that don't know, black hair is quite different and requires a bunch of chemicals to untangle and straighten. Many of those chemicals do not play well with each other. My mom asked her what she had used before, got the info, then got to work with the right chemicals. 5 minutes later, the hair was falling out in her hands. She freaked out, but the lady was nice enough and realized she had used some other stuff which reacted to the new chemicals. Ouch. Got a buzz cut if I remember correctly and left it at that. People think that Cosmo School is for stupid people that can't do anything else. They don't realize these students have to learn chemistry components for this exact reason. You can make someone go bald, burn them, or create a toxic bomb. So I'm a professional licensed hairstylist, and my biggest oh crap moment was actually on my fiance. We were watching the LOTR trilogy and smoking weed when he asks for a haircut. I'm like, sure, great idea. I'm stoned out of my head and he's moving around to get a better look at the TV while I'm cutting. I nicked a little piece out of the side of his head and immediately freak out. I'm a bit of a meticulous nut when it comes to cutting and it had been my first real mistake. I go to the bathroom to collect myself and splash some water on my face to get on high, so I can fix my frick up. I come out and he's got the clippers in his hands. He freaking goes right down the center of his head. Literally like Marshall on his wedding day on him, without the guard on. He's literally shaved bald down the center. I freaking lost my crap and bald while I shaved the rest of his head. He looked like Edward Norton from American History X. Worst haircut I've ever given. In beauty school, I watched as a fellow student buzz cut the back of a little girl's hair and the mom shrieking in response. There was an obvious language barrier. The mother kept saying she wanted it razor cut, so the fellow student thought she meant clipper cut. It's beyond me why the mother didn't stop her when she picked up the clippers and turned them on. Not a barber, but I once asked my girlfriend in college to cut my hair, because I had gotten a last minute interview for a job. We went out to her backyard and I don't know if the sun was in her eyes or if she was just nervous, but as soon as I saw the first snip she had taken from the front, I knew she had cut too much off. She took a step back and looked like she was about to burst into tears. I assured her that it was okay, because there was nothing that could be done about it except try to not go any shorter. She finished up and the end result didn't look terrible, but it was kind of goofy looking. But I wasn't upset. I knew it would grow out and I really appreciated her doing that, and although I kept thanking and reassuring her it was okay, it took at least a day before she fully believed I was okay with it. Victim of a coloring disaster. I was 15 and wanted my hair dark red for my semi-formal dance. Semi-permanent dyeing went just fine, until it came time to rinse the dye off and my scalp was stained fuchsia pink. No amount of washing would shift it and the dance was at night. My mother had also paid them to style my hair. Some was curled and some was twisted and pinned at the front, exposing my bright pink scalp for all to see. Needless to say I smelled like chemicals all night and didn't have a very good time. Also, multiple instances of trying to get my eyebrows waxed at the same only salon in a small town, placed by a string of incompetent 15-year-old apprentices. Straight up burned my face at least once. Sigh. I always get important dye cuts done a week in advance, so if something goes wrong there is time to fix it. Admittedly I get permanent dye but I don't like risking it for a biscuit. I even got my eyebrows waxed the week before my wedding. Rather do I quick scope and pluck on the morning than risk a total bodge job and no way to work out how to cover it up. Had a guy start jerking off under his cape while I was shampooing him. The hilarious part, I usually do my clipper over comb work dry, finish up the hairline first, shampoo, then finish the rest of the cut damp. I kicked this guy out of the salon with half finished hair. Of course, at first I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but when he saw me looking at the fapping front of the cape, he asked me how much extra for him to be able to finish. I told him $40. He pulled $3.20s out and handed them to me. Oh, a tip. I then did the see-mere finger beckon to the reception desk, walked over to the front door, and chucked $40 out into the wind, holding the door open for him as he took off after his money. He ran outside like the world's cheapest Batman, cape billowing to show his junk tenting out the top of his undone jeans. When he finally came back to bang on the door, I held up the 20 and said, "This is for my time." Butthole then sauntered over to pick up the phone and do the "I'm calling the cops" pantomime. It was solid gold. Since I was alone in the shop at the time, they wouldn't spring for a receptionist. I was closing that night. My BF at the time stayed on the phone with me while I waited for him came to get me, and we had no trouble on the way home. Told my manager about it the next day. She reviewed the tapes, and was behind me 100% when the guy called to complain that afternoon. Ah, Regis. The Walmart of North American hairdressing. Maybe even the Dilemma. I'm female, and for most of my life I've had rather long hair. When I was around 9, my dad took me to get a trim, but I don't think he knew much about how female haircuts are different from male haircuts, and he took me to a place for discount men's haircuts. Basically a place where you get a $15 wash and buzz cut. The lady obviously didn't have a clue what to do with my long hair, but she tried, and she unevenly chopped off like 10 inches and shaved sideburns out of the sides of my hair. It was a disaster, but I don't think she felt bad or even realized what was wrong with that. Ha. I once went with my brother and dad to a barber shop that went similarly. I walked in with a ponytail, sat down at a chair, and the guy just hacked off 10 inches or so of the ponytail, and let me leave. Charged my dad $20. Not the stylist. The stylie. The stylist was highly recommended, and a good friend of my little sister. I asked for 3/4 to be trimmed off my long hair, and to have layers redone. Stylist measured to indicate the length. I confirmed. Removed my glasses so she could work. Couldn't see, so it took me far too long to realize she had gotten mixed up and started trimming it down to 3/4 and was not just working that close to my head because she was doing the layering. We both realized it at about the same time. I asked, "Did you?" She replied, "Crap," and stopped for a second. Then she said, "But I can't glue it back on now," and kept going. Strangers legitimately randomly came up to congratulate me on surviving a bout of cancer for about a month after. Had to tell each one not a cancer patient. Bad haircut. Fast forward 3 years. She was a bridesmaid in my sister's wedding, At the bachelorette party we were talking about ways we messed up at work, and she started talking about this one time a girl with long hair came in and wanted a trim. About the point she got to, but I can't glue it back on now. She realized she was referring to me. Good times. Well, this happened to me, but I had blue hair that faded to a really light blue, almost white blonde. But I wanted to have a natural color, so went to a hairdresser's to have it brown. $130 later and I walked out of the hairdresser's fighting back tears with this baby poo green brown colored hair. It was the most disgusting color you could imagine. When I got into the sunlight it was even worse. My mum went back the next day with me and we got a refund and they apologized. They shouldn't have charged me for it and I shouldn't have paid, but I was in shock that $130 didn't include a haircut either, and it wasn't a fancy salon. I had a chick from Great Clips cut my sideburns right the frick off. No warning. Just edging me up and ZZZZZZZZP my face of horror. Told her she'd fricked up. Oh, you didn't want me to do that, B? Are you insane? Not me, but one of my classmates. She was going to dye another girl's hair dark chocolate brown. While washing off the dye she think it looks weird and realizes when drying it purple. For some reason there was something wrong with the dye. Girl looked smoky hit in purple hair though and decided to keep it. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.